Hi guys, it's Grace with Grace Gets Gastric, and I am here today for another recipe video. So I'm going to show you how I make my marinated Greek flank steak salad. It's a cold salad, so it is perfect for the summer months, or if you ever just don't feel like heating things up. It is really delicious, super flavorful. The marinade is one of those things that gets better the longer it sits, so it is even better on day 3 or 4 or 5 than it is on day 1. And it's definitely very flexible. You can choose what kind of veggies, etc. you want to add to it. So if that sounds like something that you are interested in watching, go ahead and stick around. Today I'm going to show you how I make this Greek marinated steak salad. So to get started, you're going to want 2 to 3 pounds of flank steak, some garlic, shallots, cucumber. You'll want some lemon juice, some feta, some dried oregano, some honey, or you can use a sugar-free syrup if you want to keep the carbs even lower, some olive oil, some red wine vinegar, some dill. The recipe calls for fresh dill, and I just had dried on hand, and some salt and pepper. So to start off, you want to take your steak out of the package, and you want to season that liberally with salt and pepper. So you want to season both sides of your steak with salt and pepper, and then put it in a marinating dish. So whatever kind of dish you want to use to marinate, you are going to be covering this, so I like to use some kind of Tupperware. Then you're going to take 2 cloves of garlic, and you'll want to go ahead and chop those up. So I like to smash, remove the outsides, and then you want to make sure you chop them up finely. If you have pre-minced garlic, you can use that here as well, but I like to just mince my own fresh. Then you're going to make the marinade. So you are going to go ahead and put in the red wine vinegar. You'll add a few teaspoons of lemon juice. That's 3 tablespoons, of lemon juice. I'm going to go ahead and use regular honey. So that is 1.5 tablespoons of honey. Because it is such a small amount, I use actual honey, but you can of course use some kind of sugar-free alternative to keep the carbs even lower. Then I'm going to throw in that garlic we just minced, and then add in the dried oregano and dried dill, and then give that a really good stir. So you want to make sure you stir to make sure everything that is nice and incorporated before slowly drizzling in the olive oil. So I'm measuring out my olive oil here, and then you are going to stir the marinade while slowly adding in the olive oil. And that will just make sure that it gets really nice and incorporated, because of course oil and vinegar separate. So then you're going to add about half of the marinade to the steak, and you're going to be marinating that overnight. So you just want to, in your container, add in about half the marinade, and then throw that in the fridge to marinate overnight. Then you're going to go ahead and do the vegetable portion. So I'm taking the shallots here, and I am giving them a good fine mince. You are not going to be cooking these. These are going to be marinating as well. So I like to make sure I do a really nice fine chop, just because I personally don't want to eat large chunks of shallot, but that's totally up to you. So it's really up to you how many shallots or how much shallot you want to add. I've got about 1 large shallot here, and I'm adding that in to the marinade, and again giving that a good stir. And then I have got a cucumber here, and I am chopping up the cucumber again into sort of bite-sized pieces. So for me, I'm slicing it and then quartering those slices, because that's a good size, before adding all of those into the marinade as well, and again stirring it so that it is nice and marinated. You can also add tomatoes here if you like. That's a flavor that would go well. I don't personally enjoy tomatoes, so I have not chosen to add them, but if you like tomatoes, that might be something that you want to add to this marinade as well. So this is another thing you're going to give a stir and throw into the fridge. The marinade is one of those things that gets better over time. So you can just add that. And then this is the next day, and I have got a cast iron skillet over medium. high heat, and I am adding in the flank steak. So really, you're just cooking this flank steak to whatever level of doneness you prefer, giving it a really good sear on both sides. So I like it to be nice and crispy and a little bit pink in the middle. And so then once the steak is done, you'll want to go ahead and chop and slice it up. Again, I'm doing sort of bite-sized chunks of steak here. You want to make sure that they aren't too big. And you can see my steak's cooked with a little bit of pink in the middle. You are not going to be reheating it, so you don't need to undercook the steak for meal prep. So I like to cook it to my exact level of doneness. And then you're going to go ahead and portion it out. So I am doing 3 ounces of the vegetable mixture with the marinade, half an ounce of feta, and then I am doing 3 ounces of the steak mixture. So it's, 3.5 ounces of the steak mixture. So there you go. So this recipe made 6 7-ounce servings for me. That was 3.5 ounces of the steak, 3 ounces of the veggie marinade mixture, and half an ounce of feta. So the macros per serving are 265 calories, 23.5 grams of protein, 7.9 grams of carbs, 15.6 grams of fat, and 0.5 grams of protein. So pretty much all the carbs in this one come from the veggies. There are also some carbs, of course, from some of the marinade, which you can decrease, particularly if you swap the honey for a sugar-free syrup. But for me, these macros are pretty excellent. I was able to eat all 7 ounces because of the marinade and the veggie mixture worked totally fine for me. But of course, you can also use significantly less of all of this. I also made the same recipe when I was earlier out from my surgery, and I just made much smaller servings. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is one of my favorites, particularly for the summer. And I'll see you guys in my next recipe video.